Waterloo, Ontario-based Research in Motion faces a critical annual general meeting on July 12th. Rafael, Ruffolo, what do you think is going to happen at that general meeting?
I think nothing much. Though there's obviously been a lot of hype. A lot of investors are panicking and pressuring through the media, and maybe even in letters to RIM to try to separate the two CEOs and chairmen, Basili and Lazaridis. I don't think it's going to happen. I was told even if it did happen, the changes wouldn't become official until like next January anyway. So, really, I think for the next little while, we're stuck with these two guys at the head of RIM.
What do you think should happen at that annual general meeting?
I think they should somehow find a way to get the big hook and just hook them off the stage for now. It's not that it's their fault that RIM is losing market share and aren't where they were obviously even earlier this year, and really taking a beating in the media. It's not really their fault for that, but just sometimes, just like in sports, the coach has to take the fall. Someone has to take the fall, and I think they need a fresh face in there who will inject the company with some new ideas.
RIM's share of the U.S. smartphone market was at 25% in April, down from 35% in October last year, according to ComScore. That's BlackBerry having fallen from first to third in the smartphone market. The shares are down 60%. Market cap is down $70 billion from 3 years ago. It does sound like a grim situation, but I'm going to argue that the company is still making money. The company still has substantial market share. I think the problem is they've invested too much effort in reactive marketing. They see themselves losing this ball game to Apple, and they've really targeted Apple. I mean, built a whole campaign around emphasizing Flash. Consumer-facing marketing strategy emphasizing Flash, and I don't think most consumers give a crap what Flash is. But the real problem isn't Apple.
I'd argue this point with you, and I think they should be reactive, and they should be reactive to Apple, but they're doing it in the wrong ways. Emphasizing Flash when 5 million people, I think in the month of July, are going to buy an iPad, which doesn't support Flash, is foolish. But they should be reactive to what Apple's doing in terms of having a killer end user device that people want to use and that people want to use great media-rich apps on. Right now the average BlackBerry user only has a few apps installed on their device, and I think this was a research from IDC at a recent conference I was at. And with Apple, you have people in using dozens of apps regularly on their device. The reason for that is the phone, is the device. I think that if you're going to become reactive, and they should, start pumping a lot of money and start trying to lure away design people, and on the software side and on the hardware side. The hardware side especially.
Has been a bit of a dry spell in terms of updating their hardware. The playbook notwithstanding, which hasn't been really that well received. But I'm going to say that it's not Apple that's been gouging RIM's market share. If you look from in the last year, Apple's gone from about 24% to 27% of the market. That's not a huge share. That's in the same time that RIM has dropped from 35 to 25%. Microsoft is down from 13% to 6%. I didn't think Microsoft could sink too much lower. Android has gone from less than 15% to 40% of the market. Therein lies the problem. So that's my fundamental disagreement. RIM is not losing to Apple. They're losing to Android.
But Android is the same thing really, because you have these killer devices, companies like Samsung, HTC especially as well, even Sony Ericsson. I recently reviewed a Sony Ericsson device from Google themselves, the Nexus S. These are really nice devices, nothing cutting edge. They all vaguely seem like copycats of the iPhone, but they're trying something different. They're really lightweight. They feel nice to use, and you're not getting that from BlackBerry. So it's still the same kind of challenge for them. They should be reactive to the idea of creating a better phone experience, and that's what they're not doing.
On the touche front, it's got to be hard to compete on the hardware front for RIM against Android when any one of 7 or 8 companies could come out with a tablet at any given
It's
time.
7 versus 1, yeah.
How about, though, the argument that, and this is something that in that open letter that you mentioned, supposedly from a RIM employee, he said, among other things, the developers, not carriers, can break us now. That RIM is catering too much to carriers and not wooing developers.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Developers will always come and develop apps for a platform they're excited about and that they know their users will be there. And I think the users are obviously still there for RIM. I mean, they've lost a lot of market share, but they're still a very profitable company. And still, if you take the subway around any big city, you're going to see a lot of BlackBerries out there. People are still using it. A lot of highly regulated industries will still only use BlackBerries, like in the financial sector and government. So the users are still there. What the developers are disappointed in is just the experience of the phone. You can only do so much with the BlackBerry, and they haven't been quick enough to update their OS with the purchase of QNX. They've just really been slow. Maybe they have this killer device and revamped OS in the waiting, and we just got to be a little bit more patient. But when you see Android releasing new operating systems and phones with their partners so quickly, and then you see the new iPhones going to be coming out.
Incremental improvements in the operating systems, though.
They're small.
QNX will be should be a substantial difference to the. But then you run into the problem of continuity versus trying to mine new markets. Like on the one hand, they haven't done anything remarkable with the OS. At the same time, one of the reviews that ran in our magazine when 6.0 came out, that was actually considered a positive. Yes, it's flashier, it's smoother, but there's continuity. It's not that much different. On the other hand, you have to mine new markets. They haven't done anything remarkable with the OS. They haven't done anything really remarkable, as I said, playbook notwithstanding, on the device side either. Since what? What was the last really remarkable RIM release?
They've tried stuff with like the Torch and the Storm, and the Torch was fairly well received. The Storm completely shunned by consumers. So but fundamentally, the Bold and the Curve and their standard, their flagship phones have been the same for 5, 6, 7 years now, it seems. And going back to your point about the continuity, with Android especially, you mentioned Android being up to like 40% now. That's the platform where really, some phones are just being stuck on 2.1 or being stuck on 1.9, and then you have to go get a new phone if you want to upgrade or really go in and try to, modify the phone to upgrade. But it hasn't stopped consumers from going there. So maybe that's not the big issue that RIM has to worry about. Maybe they just really need to revamp everything, come out with just a killer hardware and software, and wow people again, because they did wow people not too long ago.
You make it sound so easy.
Yeah, I think it'll cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and a lot of people will be on the chopping block. But yeah, it's simple on paper, but yeah, I agree with you. It'll be hard to do.
It's interesting. I know we're running really long here, but just interesting remarks. Stephen Jaroslawski, chairman of Jaroslawski Fraser Limited, who were the 6th largest shareholder in RIM, when he was talking about pulling out, said they're resting on their laurels. Steve Jobs is a much better marketer than RIM, and that sounds to me to be something very personal. He's not saying that Apple is better at marketing than RIM. He's saying Steve Jobs.
Yeah, some of these investors are out for blood with the heads of RIM. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me, that comment. And but still, I don't think anything will change at the shareholders meeting.
So in other words, we're going to be having this conversation in another 6 months.
Probably, yeah, probably. And I think it'll be even more an even more difficult situation for RIM at that point.
Rafael, thanks.